You now can differentiate because of technology and blended learning, and your job now, you don't have to deliver all of that instruction and control the pace anymore. Now, you do have to choose to let go of that, and that's a big shift for our teachers. But that's what we have to do, some mindset training and some professional development, is how do we help our teachers differentiate instruction with modern tools.
Before, you had to wait until, the quiz or the benchmark assessment to see the results, and you felt like you were the only person who was in control of whether or not a child could have that light bulb turned on. And sometimes you wouldn't necessarily get to that in a unit for a while, depending on where the child was. But now, because of the blended learning experience, the light bulb could turn on because of a child working with another child in collaboration. Or it could turn on when working in the learning lab on a software platform because it's adapted to that child's instructional need.
One of our primary goals here in Milpitas is to focus on student learning and their outcomes. And what's the results?
At the end of the day, people are going to say, did our students really learn? Did they actually improve the learning, right? So obviously, everybody say, well, what's our test score? Now, I think test score is only part of it, obviously, is how the student react, right? One of the things I like to do is actually talk to some of the students. I think getting feedback from the student, from the parent, from the teacher is the true measure of success. And I think having some type of assessment toward the end and say, how can we continue to improve? What changes do we need to make? I think will go a long way to help measure our success.
When we built the case for this model, we asked if our kinders could experience a full day, and not just a full day, but the 301-minute requirement that other students have at our school. And our district was supportive in letting them do that. There were naysayers out there that said, oh, kinders won't be able to handle being in school from 8 o'clock until 2:01. And they were wrong. Our students are thriving.
Here with the Learning Lab and the blended learning, the students are really excited. They're in charge of their own learning. They enjoy the technology. They're engaged.
I've always been the kind of principal that asks students what it is that they're doing. And before, students would say, I'm reading, I'm doing math. They actually can articulate, I'm working on number sense, or I'm trying to get Gigi across the screen, and if I match up shapes correctly, it will happen.
They're really excited about just doing something innovative, and they know that they're focusing on their learning and that they can grow and learn at their own pace.
Kids learn best from each other. So they work with projects, they help each other out, and they're extremely excited about that. They get a small group instruction, and then they get to work in collaboration. So they really, really like that piece in the classroom. And that in turn has really brought down detention piece, because we don't see anybody in trouble, hardly anybody in trouble. There are no behavior issues because they're so engaged all the time, working with their groups.
One of our observations, the discipline levels in our 2 blended learning elementary schools has virtually dropped to none. The administrators are not spending any time on student discipline because they're so engaged with their learning.
We don't deal with the discipline of old anymore. Students aren't being sent to class because they're not interested or because I'm bored. That's why I threw the pencil. That's the first thing. Our suspension data is almost non-existent. Our detention data is non-existent. We've changed our detention concept really to be a reflection period, because we recognize that kids make mistakes. That's what happens as you journey to adulthood.
There were several challenges, and then we've come a long ways from feeling those challenges to now that we're seeing a lot of successes and how the program is working for the kids. And when we see those students engaged and students learning and being proud of their achievement, I think those challenges were worth it.
I used to go into the room, and that was a chance for kids to take a break. Oh, Mr. James is here. Hi, Mr. James. How's your day going? That was their break. Now they don't want it. It's a quick hello to Mr. James and they're back at work. And I literally have to, if I want to engage with them, engage in that activity. What is it that you're working on? Do you mind if I sit here and watch what you're doing? That's a huge change.
A very essential component of where we are today is because of trust. That's a trust that has been developed at the district level between myself and both of our union leaders and the superintendent. He told them what the parameters were for creating something new, and he let them go with it. And that was something that people haven't experienced. And so that in itself was exciting.
One of the things I really appreciate about Milpitas Unified is support. And even before we moved into blended learning, we've always had the support of our superintendent and the board of trustees.
Instead of me trying to figure out a subject on my own, I have a team to fall back on if I'm frustrated. I have a team to go to.
Well, for other school boards across California, I think they should start to look at what are some of the ways that they can do to improve student achievement. This is a revolutionary way of doing things. They should look at it and say, well, would this work for my district? You know, how are our students going to react? How are our parents and community going to react? And if they think this is something that they can duplicate, we'd be happy to share with them. What are some of the challenges we went through? What are some of the obstacles we went through? Because it's not a smooth path. There's always bumps on the road. There's always things we continue to learn. But by seeing how other people did it, by seeing what challenges that we have gone through, they would be actually in a better position to leverage and adapt the program that we have.
If I were talking to another principal, another administrator about starting this program, I would say make sure that your staff is ready to be flexible and to really dive into what that word, what that idea means. It's not just that you change something one time and you change so you're flexible, but it's the mindset that you may have to swing this way, you may have to swing that way, you may have to swing in the middle to make it work and to do what's best for students.
You can still achieve some of the blended learning without spending any additional money, okay? Because you do not have to adapt everything. You can look at the pieces that works, the pieces that does not require money, okay? Because you still have the same teacher, you still have the same classroom, material is still the same. It's how you organize them, how you manage them.
Your students really have to be your roadmap. You're not able to look in a book, read a book about design thinking or blended learning or hybrids and okay, that's my school, I'll use this one. You really have to talk with your staff, talk with your parents, talk with the kids, find out what it is that they need, and then begin to draft something using that information.
The goal is never the technology. The goal is learning, and technology is merely a tool. The question always is, which tool allows me to learn the content the best?
I think this is still a journey. It's a starting point. I can see that some of the students are much more engaged. They're much more motivated. They want to do the right thing. We really like to see this program roll out to other schools, and we're happy to share with other school districts of the success of this.
I want to integrate those two worlds. I want the world of communication, technology, all of the tools that we have in society to learn and to research, to do work. I want it inside the classroom.
We know that the tools will always change, but learning how to learn will never change.